Thank you so much. Can you hear me? Yes?
Yes.
Great. Well, greetings to everybody. The wonders of Zoom have saved us, and I'm absolutely delighted to be together with you. I would have loved to come in person. I tried. The schedule was just impossible because I was, for the last 4 weeks, on a very complicated trip throughout Asia, uh, ending up in a fascinating visit to the country of Nauru. Look it up. It's the smallest by population country of the United Nations, 12,000 people in a small island in the Pacific Ocean. And I was there until a couple of days ago, have just flown home and am leaving in a couple of days to fly to Rome, to the Vatican, and then onward to the Middle East, and then back to Europe. So it's very heavy travel days. But I greet you this evening from New York City. And by a miracle of Zoom, we can indeed be together. It's a great honor and delight for me to receive this wonderful award. For many, many reasons. First, Arthur Vandenberg is a legendary name in American foreign policy, and a name that I knew well growing up because, as I would like to emphasize, I am a Michigander. So I grew up in Oak Park, Michigan, just north of Detroit, and was raised in the public schools of Oak Park, and with many, many visits to Lansing, of course, and to Michigan State University, both as I was growing up in Michigan and during my career as an academic economist during 43 years. I'm also absolutely thrilled Greater Lansing United Nations Association. What wonderful work you do. And I was just listening to your wonderful awardee just before me, great teacher, and the intention to integrate the Sustainable Development Goals deeply into the curriculum of your chosen partner schools. Let me say that I would love to help in any way on that. I lead for the Secretary General of the UN a global network called the Sustainable Development Solutions Network, or SDSN. And one of our areas of focus is supporting secondary schools as well as universities to establish SDG curricula. So we have a number of materials that can be helpful. We have a number of free online materials that I think can be well integrated into a high school curriculum. I'm in the process of preparing a global course on the SDGs myself, which I would love to speak with you about, and its possible relevance for the teaching that you are planning to do. But let me say how thrilled I was to hear of your intention to integrate the Sustainable Development Goals into the high school curriculum in the Greater Lansing area. The SDGs are not only the globally agreed goals adopted by all 193 UN member states, but they're also wonderful. And they are also guideposts for us in the United States for how to strengthen our own economy and society and social inclusion and social justice with environmental protection. But they're also a wonderful way to learn about the world. And just as I was hearing you say, to integrate them, of course, in the social studies, but also in the sciences, for instance, the science of the Earth's climate systems and biodiversity, and many, many other areas. Of course, understanding today and future engineering, understanding the food production system, understanding the global economy. The SDGs are, of course, at the center of all of those vital areas. So this is another reason that I'm so thrilled to receive the award from the United Nations Association of the Greater Lansing Area. It's a huge privilege. There's another reason also, which I want to thank you for especially, and that is in the lovely citation in which the award is given to me for promoting global cooperation. This is my most cherished activity, I want to tell you. I have a tremendously lucky chance in life as a long time now professor of international economics to see the world and to meet people from all over the world. I've traveled to, I think now it's nearing 150 of the UN member states. So not all of them, but at least getting, I hope, to the home stretch of being able to go to all of them. And that's my hope. And what I absolutely see on the ground, and I saw it again these past 4 weeks in visiting China, in being in Beijing, in going to Australia, in being in Nauru. Our common hopes on this planet are so similar all over the world. Our common needs are so similar all over the world. And our interconnectedness is so strong and overwhelming that cooperation is absolutely the key factor in achieving any and all of our deep goals for our lives, for our nation, and for the world. We can't solve the climate problem alone in the United States, certainly not. If each country were responsible for its own climate and only for its own climate, the problem would be solved because we'd care about what's happening within our own neighborhood. But because the world climate depends on the actions of all 193 UN member states, we need cooperation to solve that. That's why we need a global treaty, the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change. That's why we need a global agreement such as Paris Climate Agreement. That's why we need SDG 13 to take climate action. That's why we need meetings like the one coming up in Dubai at the end of November, COP28 so-called, or the Conference of the Parties 28th session, which is the meeting of all of the 193 member state signatories, plus a few other signatories, so it's 196 actually, that meet once a year under the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change. So Arthur Vandenberg was there right at the start with Franklin Roosevelt, two great leaders who knew we needed a United Nations. And we need the United Nations more than ever. We need the United Nations for our survival. We need the United Nations to end these horrific and extremely dangerous wars that are now taking place in Israel and Palestine and in Ukraine. And we need the United Nations to make sure that more wars do not break out and that tensions between the major powers, and these days including between the United States and China, are resolved according to international law, the UN Charter, and the basic standards of decency, which is the moral code of the United Nations, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. I was in China, as I mentioned, just in the past few weeks, and I had extensive discussions with Chinese leaders and with dozens of the world's ambassadors to China in a meeting hosted by the resident coordinator of the United Nations country team, Mr. Siddhartha Chatterjee. And I can tell you, ladies and gentlemen, there is no reason for us to have a conflict with China. What we need is cooperation. We need dialogue. We need negotiation. We need all countries abiding by the United Nations Charter, this brilliant, lucky creation, fragile as can be, because it depends on the goodwill of all nations, and especially the goodwill of the most powerful nations in the world, including our own. So it's for these reasons that I'm especially grateful to you for this honor. When I mentioned that I could not be with you in person because of the timing just being a little bit off, I said I would love to visit when I am next in Michigan. So I want to hold a date for us so that we have another chance for those who might be interested. But by Zoom, I want to tell you how grateful I am for the award, but especially for your work, because we need this great achievement of Arthur Vandenberg, of Franklin Roosevelt, of Eleanor Roosevelt, who presided over the adoption, the design and the adoption of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. We need this to be appreciated across our land so that we not only champion the United Nations, but we enable it to do its vital work. And I can tell you, and you know it, it's never been more essential for humanity than now. Thank you again. Thank you for the Zoom link. Thank you for the opportunity, ladies and gentlemen, and have a wonderful evening, and how much I appreciate being with you. Thank you.
And thank you so very much, Jeffrey. I'm just so glad that we connected, and I will stay in touch with you for the next time you are in Michigan. I'd love to have you first.
Wonderful.
I apologize for the confusion this evening, but I'm glad that we were able to connect before the end of the program. So thank you, and I wish you the very best in your work. I'm so pleased with what you're doing.
Thank you so much. And please do keep me in mind as you prepare this SDG curriculum, because I'll absolutely want to give any help that I can.
I'll help connect them with you.
Wonderful. Bye-bye, everybody. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.